Naam, mashallah. How, the question is, how would one knows that he has ikhlas? Al-ikhlas is an action. So a person has to, and this is something done by the heart. So it's, Allah knows best, of course, and a person knows himself, and it's not something that you would see from others. So the question is, how would we know that we have ikhlas? Myself has ikhlas, I have ikhlas. But as far as others, we have no capacity to know whether a person has ikhlas or not. That's why if someone accuses someone, he is a munafiq, munafiq in the sense that his intentions are not for the sake of Allah. The things like this is how did you know, did you see what's in his heart? But when it comes to oneself, which is a valid question, of course, it's a decision that we make. It's a decision that we make when we do an act of worship. And that is, what are we doing the act of worship for? So if a person asks himself this question, why? There's always the two questions. Why and how? Why am I doing this action? It doesn't have to be every time he does the action. You know, it's only for, if it's only for the sake of Allah, that means he would do it for the sake of Allah. But if it's for other reasons, then he has to purify himself. And as a result of that, even say, for example, if someone says or asks himself, like a child, for example, he goes to memorize Quran. He asks the child, why are you memorizing Quran? I don't know, my parents sent me. That's not ikhlas. So should he quit because it's not done for the sake of Allah? No. So there's no way that a person would stop doing an action because it's not done with ikhlas. If a person stops a good deed because he questions his ikhlas, he needs to have ikhlas. This is by itself is showing off. So there's no condition whatsoever that would make the person not to do the good deed. But rather he should work on himself constantly to be upon al-ikhlas. And this is a lifetime struggle in a good way for every action that a person do to be upon al-ikhlas. And it's easy since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us. So it's not over our capacity, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So it's not something to make it difficult for oneself, but to always check our intentions, yes, and to keep on being steadfast upon it. And one of the, or some of the signs of it is the consistency. When a person is consistent in an action, this is a sign of al-ikhlas. And of course, he knows in his heart whether people are watching or not. The definition of al-ikhlas is أَلَّا تَشْهَدَ بعملك غير الله, that you don't witness the seeing of anyone except Allah. You're not witnessing with your heart. You're not waiting for someone to see you except Allah. You want that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees your actions. You don't want people to see your actions. They will see your actions because you're making salah and so on, but you're not looking for this. You're not seeking this. You're seeking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is seeing you. And the consistency is a sign of al-ikhlas. Also, one of the ways to make sure that a person is upon al-ikhlas, to do deeds that is not known to people, like the night prayer, for example. Night prayer is one of the ways to train oneself to be sincere. And if he finds that this is difficult for oneself, which is a normal thing to be difficult, because there's no share for oneself, this is a sign of al-ikhlas. And to have always something hidden, like charity or something like this, as a way to purify the hearts with al-ikhlas. And to do whatever the way the Prophet ﷺ, if he prayed jama'ah, that's in front of everyone, then the ikhlas is to put the effort to do that. If someone says, I pray home with a more devotion because I'm alone and I can focus more, this is wrong, because this is not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ikhlas, inshallah.